Hello, my name is Matthew Wager, and this is my list of conspiracy theories on what happened to me after I got the biotech-n vaccine. After the injection, I felt a cold shock in the back left part of my head. It felt like a brain freeze, but more like a shock. So I think it was a gel with air bubbles in it. Um, and what I think happened was the density of their sucrose production was off due to them not drying it, and this led to the vaccine sticking together because the sucrose is what keeps it from sticking together. And after it started sticking together, the glycols started to form a gel and eventually formed a gel. And in transport, it was shaken, allowing it to capture air bubbles. And I think it was buoyant enough to counterflow in the arteries. And for everybody who says, well, that's not possible because it's injected intramuscularly, well, the only difference is an angle on the injection, and we use PICC line catheters to get to the heart all the time, although that is through a vein and not artery. So you could definitely do this. But I think it counterflowed because that would allow direct access to the brain, and if it went through the heart, the turbulence would have broken it up, or at least dissipated the temperature to the point where it wouldn't be cold. And since you can inject something like a liter of air into someone's body before it starts causing problems, it couldn't have been just air bubbles themselves. And any air bubbles would have dissipated if they were inside of a gel. Now, once it arrives to the brain, it starts soaking into the surrounding tissues, and this acts as a neurotoxin and causes the initial seizures, which I had around 20 minutes after the initial injection. And I'm fairly sure that there were seizures and not a stroke because I wasn't exhibiting any signs of a stroke. And after that, the lipid nanoparticle bypasses the blood-brain barrier via molecular hitchhiking, and the spike protein RNA starts going into the brain cells, and it gets converted into RNA in their nucleus, much like it did in the Swedish study, where it did it in liver cells. In the liver cells, this happens within 6 hours, but in the brain, it takes longer due to the enzymes expressions rate being slower. It then increases the expression of the protein line 1, and this then expresses the protein on the cell and causes the immune system to target these cells. Dr. Bean has a good video on this and could explain it better than I ever could. Now let me tell you, this can really mess you up depending on where it lands, your overall brain health, etc. I would say something like it could cause dysautonomia and instant death by turning off your heart, turning off your lungs, or turning off anything that your central nervous system controls, which is pretty much SUDIP, but or just SUDIP itself. But I would need a document to prove this, and I'm sure that some sort of document exists somewhere. But anyways, I just got epilepsy, and I think it would have been much worse if I had not had a high level of brain-derived neurotropic factor, or my overall brain health was less, or my overall health was any less. But I'm going to say that it still really, really messes you up. Um, anyway, this goes on for a while for me. I'm not sure how long it went on for, but it was a couple of months before I got on any meds that can stop it. And I still have seizures to this day, and it may still be floating around in my brain. Although, I'm not sure if it's due to damage or what. If it is, it's probably random neuron death that causes the brain to increase voltage in neuron chains to make a connection, so it can kind of like jump over dead neurons in the neuron chain. So, because if you think about it, once it enters the brain, it flows wherever the brain needs blood flow. So it'd be pretty random on where the neurons died. Also, once it goes past the blood-brain barrier and expresses itself into the cells, it's a one-way trip. It can't make it back out, so it doesn't effectively act as a vaccine because the rest of the body isn't vaccinated. It's only your central nervous system. Well, kind of. Anyways, they have people whose job it is to perform damage control, and I think they do this mostly for studies. They doctor things, and I'm fairly certain they have trainers that allow them to edit stuffs in the data in the study software, so they can back science things and stuff like that, make edits at will. They're also willing to bribe people, of course, and they're not afraid to use violence or their positions of power to threaten those who don't comply, such as threatening to remove your medical license. And they do this because they think they're saving lives, which they may actually be saving lives, but they're certainly ruining lives in the process. And in my case, I am almost 100% certain that this is far worse than COVID could ever be for me, because it's permanent and it will only get worse as I age. It's literally the equivalent of brain diabetes, brain herpes, both. Also, they're starting to get desperate, and they have recently escalated their use of force. and they'll probably escalate further. They currently still won't take a fight. They'll only take a fight. They'll only take a fight that they can win. There has to be a 0% chance that they can lose. And they'll only do things that they could litigate or just throw money at, such as car accidents so far. Or I'm sure they would probably do home invasions if they thought they could get away with it. Or, just anything that they can get away with.